15 mental errors that are keeping you poor. Becoming wealthy requires you to think and act differently from the rest of the population. If you want to take control of your finances, it's important to understand what holds you back from achieving your financial goals and overcome these roadblocks once and for all. Here are 15 mental errors that are keeping you poor and what you can do about them today. Is it for this reason that you won't let others manipulate you, enabling you to come out on top? Let's get started. Number 1 is sunk cost fallacy. The sunk cost fallacy means pursuing a goal even though one knows they will never succeed, just because they've already invested time, effort, or money. Sometimes in poker, you stay in the game with a losing hand just because you've bet most of your chips. The same goes for work and staying in an unfulfilling company for too long. Even if you've been there for 10 years, people tend to remain in relationships when it is not benefiting them, but staying out of convenience. In order to avoid time and effort it would take it to find something better. The faster you confront the sunk cost fallacy in life, the better off you are. Number 2, you are a biased person. You likely hold your own subjective worldview that has been influenced and shaped by your own personal experiences, beliefs, values, education, family, friends, peers, and other people. Your ideas, the perspectives you hold, and your values are impacted by the experiences you've had to this point in your life. That's why it's difficult to understand what someone's doing or to know who to support. You're completely uninformed about the personal context of their lives, since you don't know all the factors that put them in that situation. That being said, try not to be delusional about how things are perceived when you do not understand or relate to a perspective that's very different from your own. Third, there's anchoring. That's where you're basing your decisions on the first available information. Every decision you make has now been arbitrarily determined by the information you start with. However, your mind deceives you into thinking everything is alright because your mind doesn't care if the information is accurate or not. Every time you interact with someone, your mind automatically assumes the other person to be capable of what you already know about them, good or bad. That's how negotiations work too. The first person to mention a price in a negotiation sets the baseline. That gives you the first benchmark and pays attention to the anchors you set for yourself, even more attention on the strings others try to set for you. Cascade denial is number 4. Your mind does mental gymnastics in order to justify your actions, most commonly observed in politicians, but not exclusively. You may have practiced cascade denial without realizing it. Here is an example of cascade denial. Firstly, this didn't happen. Secondly, if it did, it couldn't be that bad. 3, if it was no big deal. Number 4, it was fine. Number 5, if it isn't my fault. If it really is, I'm sorry. I should not have done it. Number 6, if I did, I should have been held accountable. As you can tell, it's all about saving a face or minimizing the damage. I'm sure you have at least one family member who employs this strategy. You know who they are. Here's number 5. You're overestimating the chances of success. That's called survivorship bias. Often, history is shaped by winners, so it's only natural that the press only reports those who've won. Unfortunately, their story usually ignores the numerous individuals who failed and focuses on the one that succeeded. The phrase survivorship bias comes from the Second World War, and the statisticians who researched which part of the airplane to reinforce. At first, they looked at the bullet holes of the plane, when they returned and added extra armor to the hit areas. This was a common practice until a mathematician pointed out that these are the planes that returned from the battle despite taking those hits. Thus, the smarter choice is to enhance everything else and concentrate on the high traffic areas. Those are the weapons that brought down the planes. Consequently, battles now involved less aircraft. Hence, they called suicide attacks. Don't base your strategy for success on the evidence of those who survived. Instead, review what was responsible for killing everyone else and improve from there. We love this story because it's achievable and successful, and it does not do what you might expect. Number 6, black and white dilemma. As humans, we love duality. Our brain has always been binary in nature. In our society, we view the world in terms of whether we win or lose. This is why code is written in zeros and ones. You either get hired or you don't. It's either yes or no. Black and white thinking is ineffective. There's often a third option that one is not considering. It is possible to find a win win solution in life if you seek it out. Number 7 is correlation versus causation. One thing followed by another does not necessarily mean they are connected. This is a common error that occurs because many things in life have a causal relationship. After a rain, do you see a rainbow? It's because the humidity allows the light to refract. Obviously, not all things follow the same rule, or he might just be a super strong bird. Jokes aside, as we learn in our first year of studying statistics, correlation does not imply causation. Often predictions fail because people do not realize that things simply are not connected. Just because two variables have a statistical relationship with one another does not mean one is responsible for the other. Forest fires and ice cream sales are correlated because both are more frequent in the summer heat, but they do not cause one another. The sale of gelato does not seem to have a direct impact on forest fires. Number 8, loss aversion versus reward. There are a number of reasons why only 1% of the population is rich. On average, people are loss averse. People would rather protect their possessions than risk in order to gain more. Losses are felt asymmetrically more severely than equivalent gains if they occur. Although the sum is the same, losing $10 is more emotionally damaging than winning $10. As can be seen from the loss aversion chart, people are so scared of losing what they have that they automatically eliminate themselves from the game. This is one of the primary reasons why the wealth of the general populace is being accumulated by a handful of individuals. 9. Expecting others to read your mind and act the same way you would. Just because you are having a mental dialogue does not mean that others are hearing what you are. In case you are wondering why this isn't the case, go back to number 2, because this occurs often, especially in managerial positions, where you expect your employees to think the same way you do, but they don't. You have the oversight, but they do not, and they cannot see the big picture or how the dominoes will fall. Therefore, you have to break it down for them. Don't judge whether your people have mastered all the tools for the job unless you have given them the ample instruction and explanation on what is required. You can't be mad at someone for not getting it done the way you wanted if you don't explain or train what you expect. Number 10, you wait for motivation to strike. Motivation comes and goes for most people. The fact is, motivation only finds you if you're already in a creative mood. This is why most people feel uninspired. When you're bored, you're bored. You're not doing anything that could inspire you. If you want to score a goal, you need to be on the field first. You need athletic wear and need to position yourself to receive passes. Number 11, a person with a high level of confidence is usually one who's the least competent. Have you ever worked for a multinational company? You may have across some bosses or managers who were in the wrong career track. All the time, we see people who are actually not very good at what they do, getting very far and rising to the top. In fact, there's a scientific reason for that. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's a mental fallacy where people who can complete a task make unrealistically good estimations about their competence. The more you understand the given situation, the more you'll understand its subtleness and be able to accurately assess how each variable affects the others. The world isn't as simple as unenlightened people make it out to be. If you want to actually improve, let go of your ego. In a strong economy, all that matters is whether or not someone bought or sold when the time was right. Number 12, the red car effect. The red car effect is also one of the many psychological tricks your mind plays on you. If we instruct you to look for a red car, you'll be more sensitive to how many red cars there are in the world. This principle applies to everything. It's true, once you get a new car, it suddenly seems like there are more and more cars of the same model around. What's up with that? No, but your feelings about them have lessened. The scientific name is the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon, or the frequency illusion. Now that you're focusing on it, it seems that the thing that's occurring is happening much more frequently. Number 13, confirmation bias. We like to win arguments. We pick and choose facts that prove our point of view. Internet availability is great, that you can prove almost anything true. To grow as a person, you need to check out opposing viewpoints and be open minded about them. Number 14, everybody has their own truth. It is this item on this list that we dislike the most. We absolutely hate it when people claim to have their own truth. You may have viewed things differently, but it's not the truth. For example, the number on the floor was put on the ground specifically to indicate either 6 or 9, not both. Truth is objectively factual. The truth can never be faked, as it is true in all circumstances. It does not mean you are right because you have your own truth. Number 15, worrying about things outside of your control. Since your mind was designed to protect you, it defaults to worrying about everything and causing extreme levels of stress. There is no doubt that you're feeling stressed right now. A psychology professor at the University of California recently conducted an extensive study on the things people worry about, and the results are really interesting. About 85% of what people worry about never happens. If you want your life to gradually improve, it's time you start working on small things you can do. With time, this will accumulate, and more possibilities will present themselves. Of all these 15 mental errors, which one has had the greatest impact on you? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, and comment.